Hello and welcome. You're watching News of the Hour. I'm Ankita Mukherjee. And remember, you can always log on to youtube.com/NDTV to catch our News of the Hour and see what we're devoting our resources to. And remember, this is a completely interactive process. We ask you which stories you want to know more about. We ask you to send us your questions. And this morning, we put out what we thought were the big stories of the day on our NDTV YouTube poll. And we asked you to pick the stories that you want to follow today on NDTV 24/7. And these were the stories that we listed out. Of course, it's the day after Diwali and everyone's concerned about air pollution. That continues to be one of our big headlines on NDTV. And here also, that was one of the choices you were offered. Also, the Tamil Nadu boy, Sujit, whose fate now really hangs in the balance. It's been 4 days since he fell into a borewell. Those rescue operations are still underway. We asked you whether you wanted to know more about Sujit's story. The denial of airspace by Pakistan to the Prime Minister yet again. Remember, Prime Minister Modi is going to Saudi Arabia, and his plane, Air India 1, overflies Pakistan, and Pakistan has once again denied airspace. So that was one of the stories offered to you. And Prime Minister talking about Pakistan occupied Kashmir, saying this still stings us. And of course, the big international headline, the ISIS chief Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi being killed after a US operation in northern Syria. Now, clearly, the story that most of you said you wanted to know more about in depth, in greater detail, was Delhi's air quality, which is severe after Diwali. Now, 60% of you have voted to know more about this story, which is why we're here to talk in far greater detail about the pollution, about the air quality. So what are we talking about over here, and why does this become such a matter of importance year after year? Remember, it's that time of the year in Delhi when air quality is already dipping. The farm fires are burning in farms around the national capital region, and air quality even before Diwali had already become quite precarious. It's actually been a good year so far, comparatively speaking, of course. But right now, on the morning of Diwali, air pollution levels have spiked once again, and it's probably the worst that it's been this year so far. So what are we talking about? Is there a silver lining to all of this? Is it actually less than it's been in the last few years? Well, I think the answer to that is yes. There is a silver lining to all of this. The situation is by no means perfect, but things are better than they were last year and for the last 3 years, in fact. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal also having a press conference to say just that. This year, his government came up with a laser show in central Delhi, and it exhorted citizens to not burst firecrackers at all, but go instead to this community celebration, to this laser show, and say no to firecrackers. Remember also, there's a Supreme Court judgment in this case. The Supreme Court has said that firecrackers could only be burst between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. On Diwali night, and so you had to do it within that time frame. So in fact, if you were burning firecrackers either before 8 o'clock or after 10 p.m. last night, then it wasn't just antisocial, it was actually illegal. So did any of these steps have a positive effect on the ground? How does Delhi in fact compare to other cities? All of this is what we're going to be looking at. Now, there are organizations, agencies which monitor air quality in real time. One of the most trusted ones is the government-supported SAFAR, which I have in fact the SAFAR website open here for you, and we've sort of centered into Delhi already, and you'll see these are the points that are marked. These are where the air quality monitors are in Delhi. So there's one in Delhi University, one in Chandni Chowk, one that monitors the air quality in Noida, one in Mathura Road, one in IIT Delhi, one at the Terminal 3 airport, one in Pusa Road, one in Lodi Road, which is right in central Delhi. And in fact, if you're a Delhi citizen, you'll know that there's a big billboard over there, which also gives you that information in real time. So what are we talking about? Now, when we determine air quality levels, you see this gradation over here. If we can go back in on the screen, green is good. Now, this means that the air quality index is between 0 to 50. That's considered good. when the air quality index is between 51 to 100, it's considered satisfactory. When it's yellow or moderate, this is between 101 to 200 is moderate, 201 to 300 is poor, 301 to 400 is very poor, and 401 to 500 is severe. And that's where this index stops. But anything above 500 is considered very severe or critical. That's an emergency level. And what has happened in previous years is that the needle has just spiked on the morning after Diwali. In fact, last year alone, it was above 600 on the morning of Diwali. Previous years have seen that level go up to 900 and above. So literally off the charts. So compared to that, how are we doing this year? My colleague Divya Wadhwa is with me, and she's going to take us through what different agencies are saying at this point about how it's been post Diwali. Now, Divya, would you say that already we are seeing a distinct spike from what we saw yesterday or day before? It has gone up.
Yes, definitely. So if we talk about Diwali day per se, it is the highest as far as Diwali morning, that is yesterday morning. Pollution levels till about 4 o'clock in the evening were the highest that they've been since 2016. But the post-Diwali situation has been better than it has been in the last 3 years. That is what Safar has said. Now, having said that it is actually better. Obviously, those little steps that we have been taken, whether it's by the government, as far as those ban on crackers is concerned. And, Ankita, you mentioned that those crackers had to be till about 10 o'clock. But I have interviewed so many people this morning. They continue till 2-3 in the morning.
Right.
So it's not like, the ban on crackers really worked. But yes, the emissions of the green crackers, that has worked because that brought down the pollution by 30%.
So let's just pause there for a moment, Divya, and explain to our viewers about the green firecrackers. The Supreme Court has mandated that firecrackers we should only buy green firecrackers. What are those? Effectively, phuljaris and anars which bear a government seal which say that they are green. And if they're green, then it means that they emit 30% less pollution than other normal firecrackers. Now, the problem with that has been that all the other kind of firecrackers have also been available in the market. In fact, probably more available than these green firecrackers. These are only produced by a limited number of companies. They've been restricted. They're also more expensive. And clearly people can't be bothered. So they've gone right ahead.
Ankita, for buying those green crackers, to begin with, they said they were twice the price of the conventional crackers. So if you have to buy, say, fulgeries, they were costing, a box was costing 250. So was for 5 anars, it was costing about 250. But in the black market, when they were going to buy conventional crackers, they were also priced equally high. And of course, they were getting them from smaller towns, from Uttar Pradesh. I have people who came and told me they got them from Meerut and other areas, and they were bursting those crackers. And they were literally flaunting the idea that they have managed to get something that wasn't available in the market.
Right. Well, it just goes to show that some people never learn, perhaps. And, those with breathing allergies, such as myself, children who have breathing allergies particularly, are suffering. And, we do know that there is more pollution today than there was even yesterday. Let's take a look at this, actually. This is the Safar app. And I'm going to just take you through this. So Safar India, it's an air quality service. It's in fact monitored and controlled by the government.
Ankita, actually this is, the Met Office. The Met Office's pollution section is called Safar. Right. So this is the Indian Met Office's pollution division called Safar.
Right. So let's just take a look at the Delhi figures overall. Now, that's a very handy little app because it immediately shows you that needle going from good to satisfactory to moderate, and you saw how fast it went right to the end of that index. So in fact, Safar is saying that overall, currently Delhi's air quality is at critical levels. So
Ankita,
that really
it's severe plus because severe is still 500 and showing 506. That means it's a severe plus.
It's gone past their own index. So it literally can't go up any further. The arrow is right at the end of that circle over there. Let's, take a closer look at sort of various different areas. This gives you the Pusa Road. And it's 491. Again, very close to the end.
Ankita, let's try Delhi University area because that's where the pollution is even higher.
Okay, let's take a look at Delhi University. And my goodness, look at that. It's gone right the way round because it has no other way of showing this. Because the index ends at 500 plus. but we're currently at 740. So the needle's gone all the way around, and it's literally, I mean, while it's now gone back to moderate, it isn't necessary that isn't the case. This is what you need to be looking at. 740. So this is in the severe or emergency levels, Divya.
Yes.
What needs to be done when the AQI is at 740?
Absolutely. So they should have those ban on construction sites. Schools should be shut down. They should also not just be banning that, also the odd even formula, and various such steps should come into play. But of course, the government also believes that they need to see the forecast. If the forecast says that the pollution will be in the severe plus category, only then do these come into play.
Right. So it's interesting that the Delhi government, of course, has announced that they're going to have the odd even in play, but it's only coming in from the 4th of November. Now, that's an interesting decision, because don't you think it would have been more effective to have had it right from Diwali day or the morning after?
Well, Ankita, actually, even I felt the same. I was wondering, why are they starting it in November and not during Diwali?
Right.
But the situation is such that the weather conditions are going to change, and because the weather conditions are going to change, it's actually going to get worse in November, and the farm fire contributions are increasing. And because those are increasing, interestingly, in the last 24 hours, in fact, from 1200, the farm fires have increased to 2700.
So, of course, as you're saying, there are many, many factors here. Diwali pollution, of course, is the immediate cause, certainly, of the spike in air pollution. But it's farm fires, and those have been gradually intensifying. But it's also the fact that temperatures have dipped a little.
Yes.
And
And
that's...
they're going to dip further, which is why November is going to be worse. So I can't say the worst is over. In fact, it's yet to come.
Okay, so grim words there. I'm going to draw your attention back to this now. This is the Sameer app, and this, in fact, is the app of the Central Pollution Control Board. So, in a sense, the official figures. And it's interesting that this app hasn't actually been updated since... well, it's saying last updated 2:37 p.m. We're currently at 4 p.m. So these may not actually be live figures, but these are actually showing less than the suffer figures. So, for instance, in the same places that we saw, Pusa Road at 355, we're seeing Horsecast at 368, we're seeing Noida at about 356 or so, 374 near Noida, etc. So, in fact, the figures seem to be varying a little, and it'll be interesting to see what the experts have to say about why these figures are varying, and that's something that we will perhaps be able to communicate to you in our next update. But you know, these apps are very handy to monitor for yourself in real time what these air pollution levels are like currently. And of course, as we're saying, it might be a little better than last year, but really it is very, very far from being perfect even now.
Well, Ankita, I've been out and about the whole morning, and I have been feeling the effects. The prolonged exposure to this, I'm feeling the effects of it. It's actually slowed me down. I don't have the energy. And, on a day like this, when air pollution is something I want to report on, I'm very upbeat about it. I'm actually feeling down and out.
Right. And for sensitive groups in particular, for the elderly, for those with respiratory diseases, for children, these are times to be very, very careful indeed. But thank you for watching News of the Hour. And remember, our poll is available for you on youtube.com/NDTV. And you can vote on any one of these stories that you want to watch for the day. And we'll have more details for you.